What's going on, everybody? Good morning, good evening, wherever you are, and whatever time it is. And welcome back to yet another video with you, man, Immersiaholic. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another online battle for the divided to Impera overhaul mod for Total War Rome 2. Today, we have the Seleucids taking on Epirus. That's right, your boy Antigonus is taking on the man Pyrrhus himself, who's off in the far distance there. Today, the Seleucids will be played by my very good friend Kalogero, who has once again sent in more battle replays for us. Highly appreciate that again, my man. If you see him commenting, please give him some love because he is an absolute champ in submitting so many replays for us. I would love to do some replays. I know you guys like to see me in the battles as well, but I just haven't had the time to actually play much. I've barely had enough time to play my Carthaginian campaign, let alone organize online battles. So hopefully that will change soon, but in the meantime, we will have to settle for these two fantastic DEI players, so don't worry, you guys are still in for a treat in regards to online battles. So we have Kalogero playing as the Seleucids, and he is taking on, of course, the infamous, the notorious God, one of the best players in the DEI multiplayer scene right now, playing as Epirus. This is going to be very, very juicy. Both of these players are very, very good, but they're very different play styles. And so I'm really interested to see how God uses Epirus first off, and how these pikes of these Seleucids will come into play. Because once again, Kalogero has brought in pikes like he did in the Macedonian online battle I showed you guys in our most recent online battle, I believe. So anyway, timestamps down below as always. Let's get started by looking at the Seleucid army. We'll go over that, and then we'll check out the Epirot army, and then we'll get into the battle. Let's do it. So starting on the left wing for the Seleucids, we have some furious swordsmen, 300 men strong, with a javelin and decent attack and defense. Keep that in mind. Pretty solid unit to use in the multiplayer scene right now because it has 300 men in it and a javelin. Very, very powerful. You'll see a lot of these online battles. A lot of the people who play multiplayer regularly will be using 300 man units like this, so keep that in mind. We then have Silver Shield Swordsmen, that's right. One would say the pride of the Seleucid army, potentially, at least the late tier Seleucids. Their Silver Shield Pikes probably take that early tier. Pride of the Seleucid army. I mean, they're both amazing elites, don't get me wrong, but swords are a little bit more modern in this age compared to pikes, who do get kind of outclassed later on. But anyway, moving forward, we then have some cavalry. We have Thessalian Thorax cavalry. Decent mid to high tier cavalry, mainly mid, but it's only shot cav, so got to be careful with that. It has to require a lot of micromanagement. We then have a set of Thurio spears in the back. Moving to the front line for these Seleucids. Gosh, what is this camera work? Sorry, guys. We have a mixture of infantry, swords alongside pikes. So on the left-hand side, we have silver shields. We, of course, got to get a close-up of the bad boys. The silver shields are absolutely nothing to scoff at. I believe the best pike in the game, if not at least in like top 3. They are followed up by Thurio swordsmen right here. Same Thurio swords as the one on the flank. We then have another silver shield pike unit. Then have another Thurio sword unit, and then on the far right here we have another silver shield pike. So it's going very elite, but also very kind of trashy with his sword units. The Thurio swords aren't bad, but they're not very good in terms of armor, so they're not going to form a very good main battle line, at least not in my opinion. Not alongside pikes. Pikes have a lot of staying power. Sorry, these guys do not. They will kill and they'll fight for a while and they'll probably get some decent kills, but that low armor makes them pretty vulnerable to cavalry charges and skirmishes, so going to be interesting to see how they go side by side with the pikes. In the rear though, this is where we get really trashy with the infantry. We have 3 sets of Greek infantry. These guys are essentially levies. I'm not too sure why Kalogero chose to get these. I'm guessing just so he had 20 units in his army because they are very, very cheap. Trashy unit. 300 men strong, but they do not have a javelin, so a little bit of a missed opportunity. Shame that they don't have it. But I mean, these guys can be used as cannon fodder, and they can at least tie down enemy units, so I'm thinking that's probably why Kalogero brought them. Behind them, we have some equally trashy units, almost equally anyway. We have 2 sets of Greek javelin, nothing special at all, although they might help to counter the elephants that we can see in the far off distance. Right hand flank of these Seleucids, of course, has the general, who is in a late Royal Guard cavalry unit on the right hand side in the position of honor, I believe. We then have the Thessalian Thorax cavalry again. So all of the cav is purely shock based cavalry. Even this elite general, very, very good shock cav unit, but it's only a shock cav unit. They only have 8 defense, which isn't terrible, but for an elite tier unit like this, it's not good. They will lose to high tier melee cav units. And then we have Silver Shield Swords again, and then some more Thurio Swords. And Thurio Spears in the rear. So we have 2 wings that reflect each other with cavalry, shock cavalry, mind you. Swordsmen in the front, spearmen in the rear. Very mobile left and right hand flanks here. The center, it's kind of strange because he has these pikes, but their supporting units are really cheap, crappy units. I mean, the Thurio Swords aren't crap per se, but putting these guys next to a Silver Shield is a very interesting call. I really can't wait to see how Kalogero uses this. Gonna be a difficult army, I think. The Seleucids have a very good roster, but so does Epirus. So it's going to be interesting to see how this different tactic of pikes goes for Kalogero. Anyway, let's move on to Epirus. Okay, everybody, so here we are on GOD's Epirid army. Kind of typical of what I would expect from GOD, which is a very mobile army. He knows the units that are very good in the game right now, which is the 300 men strong units, which is the Therios units, essentially. He has Therios Spears, 300 men strong with a javelin, very high defense as well. So these guys perform almost a better role in performing as a main frontline unit than compared to the swords because their defense is so high. And they have slightly better armor, 20 rather than just 15. Then the javelin, so he has 5 units of those as his main frontline. Behind them, he then has Epirid levies, which are also pretty trashy, although I would say better than the Greek levies because these guys actually have armor piercing damage, so they will use axes, I believe, or something similar. Yeah, it even says in the description, both axes and swords. So while these guys aren't necessarily good, they're not the worst unit that he can get. 300 men strong, and they do have a javelin, so actually definitely better than the Greek infantry. He has 4 units of them. On the left hand side over here, he has 2 sets of cheap Greek javelin men, pretty helpful. Moving to the rear, he has his general, the Sacred Squadron commander. Only 100 men in this unit, but it has 17 defense on top of 41 armor. This is going to be a very, very hard beast for Kalogero to take on. Extremely good cavalry unit. One of the best melee cav units in the game. And it, oh my god, it just looks amazing. Very, very good visuals. This is probably a contender for one of the best looking units. However, we then move on to the jewel of the Epirid army. The unit that was responsible for crushing multiple Roman legions. The elephants. The Syrian mercenary elephants, mind you. These are not just any regular elephants. They do have a range of 180. I believe that's, yep, you can see right here, they actually have a bow on top. Insanely long range for just a bow. Wow. Is that serious? Oh my goodness. While this might not necessarily technically be the best elephant in the game, it has performed the best in my experience, so I'm expecting some big numbers with these bad boys. In total they have, what, 18 elephants? Yes, I do, because it's 2 men per elephant, 36 total. So yeah, 18 elephants, pretty well armored at 12, which is good for elephants. I know it sounds low, but for elephants it's not bad. These guys, they have to get at least 500 kills. If they don't get 500 or more, then they are not worth the price. And instead he could have brought more cavalry or whatnot. There's a lot of pressure on these elephants to perform, if you know what I'm saying. In the far rear here, though, we have cavalry, Thessalian cav, 1 unit, 2 units, and then a 3rd unit. So both sides very heavy on the shock cav, although the Epirid general definitely has that advantage of being a melee cav unit, and it can still do very good on the charge, don't get me wrong. But that defense is going to make it stay probably well into the late game, I'm guessing. You will notice though, this is not the entire Epirate army. We're seeing the majority of it though. There is 2 units that we cannot see that I know will be on the field. And to be honest, you guys should know what it is as well. And that is the Agrianian Axemen. There are 2 units of the Axemen. I don't know where they are though right now. But I believe that's all we're missing from the army. Well, I just did a quick count. We only have 16 units here. There is at least 2 Agrianian Axemen, so there might be the Agrianian Peltis as well. I'm not too sure. We'll start the battle. We'll see what units pop up and where. But that is basically it. Very mobile army from the Epirates. Very solid overall. The Seleucid army has probably more elite units, but it also has a not so great front line. Going to be very interesting to see how that front line plays out. But anyway, that's enough of me talking. Let's get into the battle and see who wins in this classical matchup of Epirus versus the Seleucids. Before we get fully into the battle, I just want to point out there is 2 units of Greek archers that have just appeared, so that gets us to 18 units that we can see. And then we do know that there is 2 Agrianian Axemen somewhere out here, so we'll see them shortly. Wouldn't be surprised if they were like off here to the right somewhere on the right flank, but we shall see momentarily. Okay everybody, looks like we have the main engagement about to begin. The Thurios and pikes and swords are clashing at the front. We did find the Agrianians. I was completely wrong. They're actually over here on the left-hand side. Interesting. Perhaps it's showing that God is looking to overload his left-hand flank. He has shifted his army to the left-hand side slightly, attacking at a bit of an angle. Seleucids are responding by sending forward their pikemen. They are going to get hit by skirmishers and javelin fire, so they do need to get engaged quickly. Swordsmen need to come up, make sure that pikes don't get outflanked. They are getting the engagement right here though. Although the pikes are not in formation, need to change that as soon as they can. Left-hand flank is going interesting. Javelinmen get way too close, so perhaps a bit of a misclick. Swordsmen are coming in to try and protect the pikes, make sure that they don't get outflanked. Left-hand side of these Seleucids is starting to swing around, although they do have the elephants, general, and a cav unit to contend with. Right-hand flank, though, looking quite defensive. Right-hand flank of the Epirates was holding back, although it's starting to look a little bit more aggressive over there. Getting a massive clump of Epirate troops, though. It's actually pretty good by these Seleucids to get this clump happening, although bit of a misclick potentially. Uh-oh, cavalry should not be charging into their own rear. Well, friendly rear at least. What is going on over here? Thurio spears are trying to retreat, but they're getting chased by the pikes? Why are they retreating? I guess they're trying not to engage frontally pikemen, but again, these the cavalry of the Seleucid side is charging forward, getting the Thurio spears tied down. Not the best charge in the world, but I mean, I guess it kind of causes morale issues for them. Might even get a few kills. Interesting choice there. Right-hand flank of the Seleucids is playing quite defensively now. Looks like they're trying to swing around the left-hand side. They do get a rout early on. Very nice rout, actually. Need to shatter that unit, though. Epirates potentially changing up the battle strategy. Pulling elephants and the cavalry back. Trying to play defensive on this right-hand side here. Meanwhile, the left-hand side is trying to overload these Seleucids. Cavalry is going to swing around, and I expect these swordsmen to push forward quickly shortly. That's the Agrianians, supported by Thurio spears. Uh-oh. These Seleucids are going to have a lot of trouble. Oh, wait. Oh, even worse. The Agrianians are charging into the side of these silver shields. They're going to get some nice, cost-effective kills there. Although not entirely into the flank. Not terrible, to be honest. Here comes the charges from the Epirate Cav, hitting these Thurio swords. Yep, Thurio swords on their own. Uh-oh. It's kind of coming down to who can outflank the other side first. Over this side, the Seleucids are actually getting stopped. Getting held up by this pretty crappy Epirate levy unit. Not good for them. They have a lot more men over here on the left-hand side. Need to kind of either hurry up, get pushing through those gaps like they are right here. Look at this push. Pushing with pikemen, no less. I mean, I guess the Epirate troops have to either put up or get out the way. Epirate units, though, continuing their outflanking. Emperor cavalry is being blob attacked though. I wonder why GOG's doing that. I mean, they're both in wedge formation, so, or diamond formation, perhaps that negates the issue, but look at all of these units. They kind of look like they're just getting stuck on each other. Not the most cost-effective charges at first glance. I mean, it's nice to get a little side charge in, but I'd just do it in one unit, I think. Perhaps it warrants a little bit more further investigation. Left-hand side of these Seleucids is stalling out massively, though. They have a couple units of cav right here, but these Seleucids are about to get smashed, even though they're trying to hit these Epirus units. Probably not the best usage of them, although they might get a rout, to be honest. And then they are helping out Furio Spears, who can then in turn help out the Seleucid cav. Gotta be very interesting to see what happens over there. General's being targeted by skirmishers. Center is kind of a bit of a mixture. Center left for these Seleucids is going well. I actually did get the rout on that swords unit. These guys should win as time goes on. Have units in reserve. They need to be getting involved though. Bring that around to the center, because the Seleucid center is not looking great, but neither is the Epirus center. They're both kind of just a little bit chaotic. Pikemen are in formation in most instances, except right here. This unit is not. Bit of a problem. Those Furio Spears are now free. They need to get moving. This right-hand side to the left of the Epirus is going to wrap around these Seleucids. And there's not much that can stop them. There is some skirmishes, but they can get taken out within just single cav charge if these bad boys come in. Are they getting the attack order? The javelins are, at least. Yeah, oh, very risky charge right there by the Epirus. Not only do they get counter-charged by Seleucid cav, but they're going to get hit by skirmishers. Although they look like they're targeting the spears, not the cav. Oh no. Missed attack order perhaps. This is not good. The elephants are coming in swinging. General does drop a rally ability to try and hold the troops in line, but it's too late. The lower tier Seleucid infantry are routing. General charges in heroically to try and stop this charge from the Syrian elephants. They're going to be tough to take on. Javelin men are targeting the elephants also. They will hopefully get the kills that they need, at least hopefully for them. But look at this. Uh-oh. This charge could be devastating. Too many targets for the Epirus to choose though. Do they come after this javelin man over here? Do they just attack right here? Do they swing around? Oh. This cavalry unit could swing the battle firmly in the Epirus favor if it gets the right charge. Yep, here it goes. It's charging into the skirmishers. Not a bad choice. One unit of skirmishers pushes forward, the other one tries to pull back. Very smart micromanagement by Kalogero. Nice job. Spearmen are coming in to try and help. Elephants are trying to chase down the skirmishers. Not a bad idea at all. Those skirmishers are the only thing that can take down the elephants. Although the elephants will end up returning, going to attack the cavalry of the Seleucids and the Furio Spear unit. Yeah, those bad boys are gone. Meanwhile, while this is happening though, the center of these Seleucids has been slowly gaining the upper hand. They do have support from their general, who's just ignoring the right-hand flank right now. And the right-hand center of these Seleucids is actually going quite well. But it is only a matter of time before the overwhelming elephants and cavalry swing around and start doing rear charges against them. So the Seleucids have firmly lost the cavalry war, but the Epirids are losing the infantry war. Which one is more important? Would you rather have infantry left or cavalry and elephants? I think elephants. Elephants will win you the most ridiculous kind of battle that you shouldn't win. How many are alive? Oh, they've actually lost a fair few. 26 out of 36 men left, so probably lost what? Around 6 elephants or less? Approximately. 5, I think? Yeah. Very interesting, though. Epirus cavalry is doing exactly what I said, though, swinging around, running down the skirmishes. There is some Seleucid troops that are coming back, and all of these guys will probably come back from routing if they don't get chased down. Interesting to see how that will play later in the game. Somehow, the Epirus infantry is losing pretty decisively right now. That's really fascinating. The Furio Spears just could not handle taking on these more elite Seleucid units. combined with the pikes. I'd be really interested to know how many kills these pikemen have. Here comes the Epirate Levy unit, charging into a silver shield and a pike unit. Pikemen are constantly being taken in and out of formation, so Kalogero is trying to micromanagement, get the most bang for his buck, keep him mobile. Uh-oh, here we go. Here comes the elephants. Yeah, these Seleucid troops just begin routing before the elephants even make contact. But again, they're not shattered. They need to be shattered. There goes one shatter. Will this unit shatter? Cytherio Spear unit, 235 men left. It needs to shatter for the Epirates to have a good chance here. But with that, this chunk of Epirate troops that was otherwise going to lose that fight is now probably going to win. Oh, here comes the Seleucid Cav back from routing. Gonna try to save their infantry. Too late though. These guys are shattered. Oh, it looks like that was a bit of a misclick. Neither unit charged into the other there. Cavalry didn't charge and the elephants didn't. Not the best. Infantry is coming back from the fight. For both sides, mind you. Some more Epirate troops coming in. Although they're kind of isolated. Looks like we're gonna have some lines form up like this, with the Seleucids on the right coming in towards the Epirates, trying to keep them bunched up. Meanwhile, Syrian elephants are getting kind of tied up. What's their kills? 178 kills so far. I really want to see double that at least kills. I mean, they have routed quite a few units, so perhaps we can't be too harsh on the elephants without the kills, but they need to be more effective if they're going to be worth their very high price. Seleucid morale is not great. Their generals just got shattered off the field. It's time for these elephants to step up to the plate and win the battle for the Epirates. They are trying to pull their troops back, form up a line potentially. Seleucid cavalry is doing what it can to try and stop them, getting some easy charges on low tier units. Perhaps they should be focusing more so on the cavalry of the Epirates though. Because right now the infantry of these Seleucids is better. At least the remaining infantry. But the cavalry and elephants are just such a deadly combination. And these Seleucids don't really have anything to stop them right now. They don't have javelin, don't have skirmishers at all. They have pikes and spears, but I mean, I really can't see those units destroying these elephants. Look at them. Absolutely beastly. The morale alone is doing so much damage. At least the damage that the morale of the elephants will do. Yep, here goes another Seleucid unit. Although it's just a levy tier unit. Not a big deal for these Seleucids to lose, however they are kind of getting surrounded right now. Looks like these Seleucids might have to form up a little bit of a pike box. Potentially. See what they do. They still have cavalry support and the cav is doing okay. They've got a very good charge right now on this Epirate unit. Should be routing, to be honest. You may see it rout off the field. Yep, there it goes. They have Sytherio Spears here. Cavalry needs to avoid that. Get out. Yep, there's the move order. Good job. This is starting to come down to be extremely close. But we have that same kind of vibe happening where the cavalry and elephants of the Epirates are winning decisively, whereas the Seleucid infantry are better, at least the remaining units. It's their silver shields and their high morale that's bringing them together. Here we go, seeing that little box form up. Basically all he can do at this point. Gonna be very tough on these Seleucid troops to get away with this win now. Cavalry is way over here. Looks like he's trying to just completely pull it away. Interesting choice. Not really all that much you can do with that cav anyway, to be honest. But perhaps if he does that, he'll draw away the elephants and cavalry. So he can do this. Charge out towards the Epirate infantry. Look at that. Very savvy move. He just needs to get the pikes in a position to stop the elephants. Uh-oh. Too slow, pikes. Too slow. They're walking, not running. Oh. Epirate General gets a good charge, and they have the Intimidate ability. This stops the Seleucid units from getting into pike formation and using their abilities. So that's going to be very frustrating for Kalogero. Basically, if he has any pike units that are not in formation, they won't get in formation as long as they are under the intimidate ability debuff. So looking like the Seleucids are gonna lose it here. The pikemen of the Seleucids could have carried the day, but they're just getting surrounded. There's only 2 units of pikemen left. They do have their cavalry way out there that are coming back slowly. But man, they're just utterly surrounded. Epirites still have their general. If they didn't have their general, then it might have been a different story. But there's just no way. No way the Silver Shields can carry this out. Although this is turning out to be a bit of a badass last stand. Silver Shields are stuck in their defensive formation, which is why they're moving so awkwardly. Here comes a charge. Man, too little too late. There goes a pikeman unit over here that's routed. These Silver Shield bad boys are trying to hold on, but they're just gonna get sandwiched. There's nothing Kalogero can do at that point. It's over. The Epirites with their elephants and just superior cavalry end up winning the day. Quite impressive, although I wonder how much closer it would have been if the Epirites did not have the elephants. The elephants, I think, really won the battle for them. Because the cavalry wasn't all that unfair. Cavalry is pretty similar in terms of tier and skill, but at the end of the day, the Seleucids end up losing, and the Syrian elephants of Epirus end up winning the day. Very interesting battle here. Demonstrates how very high tier infantry can still be utterly outclassed due to a single juggernaut unit such as the elephants. I mean, there was many more factors in that battle, but I think that's a defining one. I'd really love to see your guys' input. Let's go to the stats screen very quickly, and then we'll end it there. Okay, everybody, here we are at the stats screen. We have the Seleucids and the Epirites. Very interesting battle. The stats don't really say too much of what went wrong for Epirus, so because a lot of the Epirate units actually got decent kills. Their Silver Shield Pikes did pretty decent, although one of the units got crushed. Silver Shield Swordsmen did great, 200 plus kills, and most of them, well, the 2 units had a good amount of men left, considering. Their cheap infantry actually got pretty decent kills, very decent considering how bad they were. It seems though the biggest letdown for Epirus was their skirmishes. They didn't really contribute at all. 13 kills, 7. The only way that these guys would be helpful is if it was purely on elephants with their kills, which they did kill some elephants, but it's impossible to say if it was just from the javelins that got the kills on the elephants or if it was other units as well. I mean, the cavalry of these Seleucids did pretty good. 225 kills to 40 on 2 units. This unit got smashed at 35 kills, nowhere near good enough. The general did okay, considering it's just a shock cav unit. Then comparing all of these decent kills on these units to the Epirate units, the majority of the Epirate infantry didn't do very good. 1, 2, 3, 4 units, all of which got out under 100 kills each. And that's the Levy crappy tier unit, which is, you know, fair enough, but it also had decent armor piercing damage. Whereas these levies of these Seleucids did far better. The Thurio spear line didn't do as good as what I thought it would, to be honest. 358 kills is great, fantastic. 147 is good. 115 is like okay, but I mean, 2 of the units did very good out of the 5 for the Thurio spears. Agrianian's 1 unit came in, did exactly what it needed, 276 kills. The other 79, nowhere near good enough. And then we have 4 skirmisher units for Epirus, all of which got okay kills considering how cheap and crappy they are, but man, I don't know. I would really love to hear from GOD on why he brought in these archers in particular. Very interesting choice, instead of like skirmishers to protect these elephants perhaps, or maybe more javelins to support his cavalry. Yeah, very interesting choice to bring 2 of each. Not a bad choice at all, just not what I would have expected. And then the cavalry of Epirus so did pretty fantastic across the board. Consistently good kills. The elephants, again in my opinion, should have had more kills, but they did rout a lot of units. So even though this is only 274 kills, they did get involved in the battle pretty early on. Well, not early, probably like midway through. So this kill ratio for the elephants is a little bit deceptive. I know I said at the beginning they should have at least 500 kills. They routed well over 500 men. So I think that makes up for it. But yeah, to be honest, a little bit unlucky on these Seleucids. It's not a bad army. Very interesting kind of take, and the pikemen actually did pretty well considering that it's a PvP online battle. I think the Seleucids just got unlucky with those elephants being so effective, and their cavalry got killed off too early on. I would have liked to have seen perhaps one more cav unit from these Seleucids just to be in reserve. Doesn't even have to be a high tier cav unit, but these cav units seem to be getting used early on, and then they get worn out, and then by the end of it, Kalogero doesn't have any cav left. At least none that can make an impact, whereas you'll note for Epirus, almost all the cav was there. So a hard battle for these Seleucids to win when Epirus has these elephants coming in. Although these Seleucids do have their own elephants, I believe, the Indians, so very interesting battle here. Not the typical kind of army I'd expect from Epirus with these levy style units and Therios units, but it is what it is. Gentlemen, very well played to both of you. Very much appreciated from Kalogero sending in the battle replay. We have a couple more from him, so I'll be showing those off in the next week or two. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I shall see you in the next one.